Hello, ladies. Today we are going to be talking about Sabbath, and we have two guests today that are going to be sharing about their experiences and helping us really understand what Sabbath is. So,
Hi.
would you introduce yourselves?
Yeah, of course. Hi, I'm Patricia, and I'm at the South Tampa campus.
Awesome.
And I'm Debbie, Pastor Craig's wife here at the Lutz campus most of the time.
Really everywhere.
Yeah, a little bit of everywhere.
Really everywhere. So I just want to start off by reading this verse because this is kind of the beginning of where we learn about rest and Sabbath, and it's in Genesis 2, verse 3. It says, "So God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it God rested from all his work and that he had done in creation." And so we begin to understand rest is a part of God's rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And so why do you think God rested? What does this mean? How do we take this and incorporate it into our own lives?
I feel like the question was saying, God doesn't need to rest, so why did he take a rest? But I believe it was to take a pause, to revel in what he had created, to enjoy it, and, to celebrate it. And I think that's a big part of Sabbath, is just taking a pause. It's not that he was tired,
Right.
but it's that he wanted to appreciate the work of his hands and enjoy the loves of his life, which is us.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the true. And I love the word holy. This is the first time he uses the word holy. So it talks about Sabbath being a holy day or holy time with him. And I think it is a celebration. I don't think he was tired. I think he looked, and I think this is to me, Sabbath is a time of celebration of restoration, And so to me, it's I think he looked and he was celebrating everything that was done, and bringing that,
good.
yes, right? And bring that whole chaos into order for us. But yeah.
So have you always practiced Sabbath? What's your journey been like?
My journey on Sabbath, honestly, it's been in the last 3 years.
Really?
Yeah. So, honestly, I
love
didn't
that.
think about Sabbath. I know, it is written, it is, but I also am a person that is go, go, go. I love, I feel like I'm always needing to do something. FOMO is a real thing in my life. And so, but, as I started really studying Sabbath, which was, I think, when Kristin came for the first time, or listening, I think, either to one of her podcasts, and she started introducing this Sabbath practice. And I was like, I am missing it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be really honest, girls, it took me probably 3 years to actually get into the rhythm, because of everything that I feel like I always need to do something. And it's just in this last year, I think that God, I create, this is my space, I have to go, and I'm filling my space. Mm-hmm. And I think God, when he talks about Sabbath, he's like, I want to fill your space. Yeah. And so I don't know if I even let him fill my space until really started practicing it. And it's been in this last year that I'm like, I'm done filling my space because I'm left tired and exhausted. Mm-hmm. So Lord, I'm going to start saying no to things that look holy to us, right?
Right.
We're in ministry.
Right.
How many times do we say yes because we're in ministry? Mm-hmm. And so, but now I'm starting to realize, well, that's just me filling my space. I don't know if it's a God thing or if it's just a me thing.
Yeah.
So I want to start filling it with God, what he's asking me to do. So honestly, I'm going to be super honest. This is a 3-year journey, and I'm just now figuring out my rhythm.
Yeah, I think I can definitely relate to that. Mm-hmm. I think it's something that we, when we're tired, we're like, oh, I need to rest, or, oh, I go to church on Sunday, so that's Sabbath. But how about you?
Well, I think Sabbath has a lot of dimensions for me. I think Sunday, whatever day your Sabbath is, it's about worship, it's about rest, and it's about connection. Mm-hmm. And I think, we worship, we come to church. I think making a life habit of attending church and worshiping God, and then using that day to reconnect with people that you love, that you wouldn't normally, your spouses, your children, maybe friends. And I love the old-fashioned habit where they would go visiting on Sunday, and you're spending you're taking a pause and you're spending time with your people. And I love that aspect of Sunday. I think for me, I've always had a Sabbath rest on Mondays. It's a day, and I think any of us can do this, like a slot of time where you're not running around, you're not going out. And my whole life, because of churches and all the weekend things as ministers, we've been in ministry for 44 years, I stay home. I don't put makeup on. I don't go to the grocery store. I don't meet people. I reorganize and I regroup and I have an extended quiet time. And then I do care calls. I'm connecting.
Right.
But I'm figuring out my week and I'm taking a breath and a pause. And those are just two dimensions of what I personally do.
Yeah. So
there's more.
what benefits do you feel like once you started getting in those rhythms? What are you seeing that you feel like?
Well, I will just say, again, I think not everyone can take the whole day. And during that day, I do my laundry and I cook but I can't explain just not running out and going and doing things. And I just feel a peace. It gives me peace. It reorders my world. I set up my week and I have, an extended quiet time. You can listen to worship music. It's just a really holy day for me, and I've been very fanatical about it over the years, as Kristin knows. When they first started doing Beautiful on Monday nights, I was not happy with her because that's my Sabbath day, but I did come for 3 years.
All my decisions, but just saying.
I do joke that I wish women had Tuesdays and the men could take Mondays. Just saying.
I know.
But anyway, it's just, it just helps me take a breath and figure out where I'm at in life.
So what about you, Pat? What benefits, since you've been really intentional? It feels like you've become very intentional.
Yes, my intentional is Friday. So my Sabbath is Fridays. So Thursday sundown is when I start my Sabbath. And now everyone is really starting to even grasp. Even my kids don't really call that much on Friday. So my phone is away on Fridays. I think that is my biggest, because again, I'm a person that's like, if someone needs something, I want to make sure I meet that need.
Right.
But I just put my phone away. And so it's a very intentional day. I get up. I love school year because then there's nobody at home. Summertime, it messes it up a little bit, but Mary Grace heads to school. And then really, I'm going to be really honest, it's the day I take my dog to groom every Friday. So he gets a little bath. And then I go to this little coffee shop. It's my extended time for just being in the Word. And then I come home and there is the resting, there's, worship music, but I try not to do hardly anything that day.
Yeah.
I write a lot in my journal. There's a lot of time for me to stop and see what God has been doing in my life. And just to me, I think maybe even my personality is always to celebrate. So Friday, I want to celebrate what God's done. What did he do that week? What are the God stories that I saw him in that week? What is it that I've seen him in my kids? 2 of my kids are in college and I hear from them, on a weekly basis. And I'm just like, oh God, you're so good that this is happening in their life or this is happening in their life. So I feel like it's just a time for me to just remember how good he is.
Yeah.
And so I really try to put nothing on Fridays. That's, and I'm not perfect by no means. Life things come up, but that's kind of it. And the benefits, I think you said it, is peace.
Yeah.
I feel this peace.
It sounds like too, it's like this renewal.
Yeah.
It's that rest, it's that renewal, that refreshing,
Yeah.
resetting,
Yes.
all the words.
Yes.
Absolutely.
What is the difference between Sabbath rest and doing nothing? Because I think sometimes, you can read the Bible and how they practice Sabbath in the New Testament, and it feels like, well, I can't do anything. I can't do my laundry. I can't, which we know that it's not about the rules. But what do you feel like the difference is between that rest and doing nothing?
Well, I just want to say one thing I noticed in re-looking at this is how, in Deuteronomy, Sabbath is literally a commandment.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's serious because it's listed along with murder and thievery and
Right,
adultery.
right.
Can I just say that?
Yeah.
However, then in the New Testament, Jesus took the pressure off. He gave grace in it. He's like, if you're hungry, pick the wheats of grain. You know, I'm going to heal this crippled woman. He was still doing ministry. So I love that it's a law and it's grace. And he said the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. So we can't be legalistic about it. You know, what Sabbath looks like for you, what it looks like for me, or you, Kristin, you know, is different. And so, you know, what was the question? Yeah, doing nothing or Sabbath rest. I think sometimes doing nothing, taking a nap, watching the sunset are things that I do on a regular, you know, where I'm taking a moment, you know, but if doing my laundry is relaxing to me and makes me feel peace, that's awesome too.
Right.
You know, or if you go, you know, I just think the beauty of it is it's so important. We need to figure out what it looks like for us in our world. And Jesus said that's okay.
Yes.
So that was just something I picked up.
I love that. And I think for me, it was, I think this go, left me on Fridays completely exhausted that I needed to like numb out. And I don't think that's what Sabbath was meant to be.
True.
You know, like I think for me, it was like with my and this is where I really learned what God was asking me to do instead of what I was doing because I wanted to do it. And so like I don't feel like he's meant us to go all week for that Sabbath rest day or that day, you know, or whatever that looks like for you to actually numb out. And what I was doing was numbing out. I was, you know, spending my Fridays Sabbath quiet, but I was turning on Netflix and I was zoning out. I don't want to think about anything. It wasn't I was turning my phone off for rest. I was turning my phone off because I didn't want to have to deal with one more person. And so I think that I started seeing the difference there, and I'm like, no, this is not what God's called me to do. This isn't my Sabbath. This is not what my Sabbath is supposed to look like. So it forced me to change what my week was to prepare for what my Friday was going to be. And I didn't want my Friday to be a numbing out. I wanted my Friday to be a true day where I got to, like, I was actually aware and like, I want to dive in and I'm not tired and I want you to renew me today. By, you know, spending time in the Word, all of those types of things. But that's why it took me a little while to really figure that out. But it was really looking at my week before.
It's like not disengaging from everything. You're going, okay, I'm now engaging here intentionally.
Yes.
Not that you don't engage with God throughout the week, but it is this refreshing, a renewal. I went to an event that Kristin did.
Yeah.
Last year and listened to a gal talk about her elementary age son who was learning about Sabbath from his like rabbi. And he said, picture you take everything that you carry on your shoulders, all the things that are on your plate, everything that's your responsibility, and you put it on a raft and you send it to the island. And that's Sabbath, is you send it away and then God sends it back in order of what's yours to carry and what's been his all along. And I think about that, like during the week, we pick up these things and we take on things and we, you know, and so I even got into a practice of trying to do that every day where I would wake up in the morning and go, okay, God, I'm sending out the raft, or at the end of the day, I'm sending my little raft out to the island. And I'm going to let you send it back in the right order so that I can carry what I'm meant to carry and you carry what is yours. It's almost like putting myself back in the right place. God, you are God. I am not. And so...
And because God is making all things new all the time.
Right. He's always renewing
and making things new. And that's the celebration of Sabbath, like the celebration of this restoration. So I love that picture of like sending it out and God bringing it back in order into what we really, I love that. Like
But we can't get that if we don't take the rest.
I even, one of my little Sabbath ideas is just in the afternoon, I always take a short rest.
Yeah.
And it's about right before dinner, and I'm physically tired, I'm mentally tired, I'm emotionally, and I in that time, I never sleep, but I'm just kind of giving it all back to God again. And then I'm just praying, and I'm like laying there and just resting, and I just feel energized again and refreshed and knowing that, okay, we're going to make, and then I can go the rest of the evening, right? And but it's just it's a practice of, okay, Lord, here's everything that's happened today already, So,
And naps are good things. Like
They are good
like
things.
believe me,
A
naps are
rest, a
on
little
my
rest.
Fridays.
So, as we close, what advice would you give someone who is like, I want to take a step. I want to begin to really practice. What would be the first, your advice or your...
I would just say if you could even have half a day where you could have some quiet. I think one of the things I've heard just through history, like in our culture, we don't even have anything that's quiet.
Right.
We're always even listening to worship music, or people always have their TV. Just be still. And when I say be still, just again, whatever that, but be at home or somewhere where you're not listening to something, you're not doing the normal things you do, if it's just relaxing, like I said, and not going, and just having that quiet time, and 4 hours, a half a day. It doesn't even have to be a whole day. And that's where I would say start, and have an extended quiet time, and then see what the Lord tells you to do next,
That's good.
Yeah, I agree. I think, make it yours, whatever that's supposed to look like. But I love it starting small. It doesn't have to be a whole day. It could be a morning.
Yes.
It could be waking up a little earlier than your kids
Yes.
and having a Sabbath morning.
Even an evening.
Right, by yourself, and I mean, I'll go, research it, learn about it. There's something so beautiful about even like the practice of lighting the candles for Sabbath. It doesn't have to be like sundown to sunset the next day, but like this practice of lighting the candles, I think I'll go back to that. There's something super sweet about it. But when you light the candles for that Shabbat dinner, it's the mom who lights it. And when asked about this, like the rabbi asked, or someone asked the rabbi, like why the mom, is because she brings light and warmth into the home. So you don't even have to do, and peace, right? So you don't even have to do it. But can you imagine just like this small little morning where you're bringing this peace, this light, this warmth into your home? It doesn't have to be a whole day. It could just be a morning. You practice it and celebrate everything that God has done for you. I think we go so fast because that's what the world is, and we forget to slow down and celebrate everything that God's doing in our lives.
Well, God was big on celebration. He was always, build an altar, have a feast. He wanted us to slow down.
Come to the temple and celebrate.
Yes, and we don't do that enough. We just go from one thing to the next. We don't have those moments of just appreciation and thankfulness even.
I love that.
Well, as you go into your small group discussion, our prayer is that you will really begin to understand, and God would extend that invitation to you. You would feel it to enter into Sabbath rest and just really learn what it means to send your raft out and give it to Him and let Him send it back in order for you.
That's good.